Na kushona nguo kwa mwanamke, kufundisha mashine ya kimambo informatique.
Welcome back to our International Women's Month conversation series with Hero Women Rising. We are highlighting young global leaders who are shaping the future. Last week, we began with our founder, Nema Namadamu, and today we continue by lifting the voice of the next generation. Our guest today is Sidney Stern, a policy advocate whose work in genocide prevention began when she was only 8 years old. Sidney, before we dive in, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell everyone about the work you're doing today.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sidney. I am currently a junior at American University in Washington, D.C., and I'm studying political science and Jewish studies. I started my genocide and mass atrocities prevention work at 8 years old, and I founded a nonprofit called Jewels for Justice, and I made jewelry and sold it for an organization called Jewish World Watch, which funded programs all across Africa, including in refugee camps in Chad and with rape survivors in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Throughout my career, I've done advocacy work on the Hill, helping to pass and advocate for a couple different bills, including the Elie Wiesel Genocide and Mass Atrocities Prevention Act. And yeah, that's me.
So you began your advocacy journey at 8 years old after learning about Darfur. What was that moment like? I mean, take us back. I know it was a while ago, but take us back. And, what made you decide that you simply could not look away from it?
Yeah, so at 8, an organization called Jewish World Watch showed up to my Hebrew school on an event that we did yearly called Mitzvah Day, and they had us design these tzedakah boxes, which are like canisters or boxes within Jewish tradition to donate to charity. And so while my Hebrew school class, we all made them, they gave us kind of a kid-friendly version about what was happening in Darfur and what life was like in the refugee camps in Chad. And these tzedakah boxes we were creating would go to help fund their solar cooker project, which would help women in these refugee camps so they didn't have to go outside, which was often very, very dangerous to collect firewood. And so I'm not exactly quite sure what made me attached to this cause so much. But I think I kind of had like a clicking moment where I felt like I could actually do something here, even at 8 years old. So it just, I don't know, it all kind of hit there.
I love that you brought that up because you talked about, something just clicked for you. And it made you believe that you could actually do something. And so can you talk a little bit about how that experience taught you about the power of young voices? Or, when did you recognize that your voice, along with doing something, but your voice itself has power?
Yeah, so I It was not an immediate thing. I originally, when I came to give the money that I had raised over the past couple months, which totaled up to I think like $60 in like loose change and like $1 bills that I had collected, I met with the women who ran the organization, and they saw something in me, I guess, or some sort of passion in me. And I met with them, and we came up with specific ways that I could help make the change. I wasn't ready to take an advocacy lane at that age yet. I don't think I had the confidence to do that. So I just figured out some sort of way and sort of thing that I was passionate about. And at 8 years old, for me, that was making beaded jewelry. And so I just tried to figure out kind of what I could do and what I loved and how I could somehow figure out how that could benefit others. So I ended up founding my nonprofit to help sell that jewelry, to help make that solar cooker project a reality for more people, which I don't know. I'm still having a hard time with that one now, but like I'm not having a hard time with it, but I'm still so happy that I could do that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were talking about justice, taking action against injustice, right? And so there are so many young people that care deeply about global issues, but may often feel overwhelmed or unsure about where to start. What would you say to them about how to move from just caring to actually taking action? And, what does that mean about the scale of what they're taking on?
Yeah, so I mean, the scale can be different for everyone. I think everyone has different abilities, and they're always at different places in their life. But I think being able to connect with organizations the way that I was able to, and connect with organizations like Hero Women Rising, and you might not know exactly what you could do, but if you brainstorm it with people who are on the ground or know what's going on the ground, there's a really good chance that you'll be able to find that little niche the way that I did originally, and to get your foot in the door, and that more things will come. But as your confidence grows, but just meeting with these small on the ground organizations and asking, hey, this is what I can do. How can I use that to help? I think that's just a major step that we often don't realize that we can even make.
Yeah, and Gen Z is often described as the most globally aware generation, while also navigating a lot of uncertainty throughout your life. It's just kind of for your generation, it's just become a part of it. How do you see young people taking that on and redefining what global leadership looks like?
Yeah, no, I think it's really awesome to be part of that generation, and being with so many peers that are just so hyperly globally aware. And I really see that at American University, because it's really just like completely representative of that. I think that young people are finding completely different ways to become those leaders, and I often see it through social media and protesting across the globe, which is so cool to see. And so I think we're just completely redefining how you can make a difference, and I love that. And I think we need to find something different, because it's obviously hasn't really been working before. So yeah.
So your work also, I'm glad you mentioned American University, because you're at the intersection of so many things in your own work, but also where you are currently geographically positioned, right? And so your work is connecting activism and policy and community advocacy, including helping people advocate, as you said earlier, for the Elie Wiesel Genocide and Atrocities Prevention Act. For people who feel government and policy are just out of reach or too far away, what does meaningful advocacy actually look like in their local communities?
Yeah. So it's very easy to feel like, the government and policy is so far away. And I think one of the easiest ways to combat that is by joining together as a community, and making collective action through that. That's as simple as telling your friends and family about what's going on, and talking to them about how they can also make a change. And through that, and through that community that you build through there, you can make a little bit more action. You can start a letter writing campaign, or even like a phone calling campaign to ultimately achieve that goal, through policy and talking to the government.
I love that you mentioned talking to the people around you. Like, first, are you working on the awareness of what you are passionate about? Do the people around you who you love, who love you, the people that you see every day in your community, do they know what's going on? So just bringing awareness to that. And it makes me think about how in this current iteration of society that we're in, that we are less insular to global conflicts because of access to information, right? So everyone is making you aware of everything all the time, right? And when we think about what young people are choosing to pay attention to as far as global conflicts and humanitarian crises, why is it so important that they consider global conflicts and humanitarian crises outside of their own communities?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple, I guess, a couple answers to that. I mean, for me, I kind of come from it with a little bit more of like the empathy route. I see it. I have a really hard time looking away from what I see and what I hear. Um, but I think there's also like a selfish reason for all of it. People don't often realize, but usually conflicts that happen, even on the other side of the globe, does affect them. And if it doesn't yet, it probably will at some point. So I think it's really important to realize that, everything has kind of an echoing effect. So I think it's just really important to pay attention and stop things before they get worse, because it actually could happen to you, unfortunately.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, it makes me think of that quote that I can't pull right now, but the first they came quote, and the importance of using your voice and not staying silent on behalf of others, and also for yourself as well. And that makes me think about when we were talking about you first connecting to Hero Women Rising as a middle school student. And now you're being recognized as one of the young leaders in this emerging young leaders series. Looking back, how has watching the work of Hero Women Rising itself shaped the way that you think about leadership and advocacy?
Yeah, so I don't know how well I could keep going without, having that influence of Nema and the stories that she brings, of what she does in Congo. So yeah, I met Nema originally when I was 13 at a conference. I can't believe it's been that long. But I knew immediately I had to support her work. And I could see that differences could be made outside of just the policy, and legislation route. I think what Hero Women Rising really did was it showed me kind of the importance of that group community, right? Because the work they do is because of people power, and I think it really just showed me of an alternative way of making change, from kind of what I'd originally believed. And I think it really pushed me to be more focused on like that joint community, and fundraising within instead of outside as much.
So when you think about Hero Women Rising and what it represents to you today, um, what would you say are some of the leaps um, that you've seen Nema take with Hero Women Rising that have inspired some of the leaps that you have taken as well with your organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think just continually focusing on this issue. I think, in this world, it's really hard to focus on one issue. it just kind of feels like it's exploding around us. But, she continues to take more and more on. And Hero Women Rising continues to help so many more women. It seems kind of just like by the day at this point. And I think it just really represents to me, I don't know, the overall resilience to just keep me going. If these women can really keep going, then I think I can as well.
So we know that we have several groups as well as many individual young women who are listening in to this conversation today. You have an incredible influence on so many young women in your generation. If every young person today that's listening took one action this month, in the month of March, to make the world more just, what would you hope that action might be?
Just to talk, I think just going back, just talking to your family and friends, I think just talking about the issues that are going on and trying to get them involved. That, number one, will build up your confidence to do more. And it will also bring other people in. I think the word of mouth is like the most important and incredible thing that we have. And I think it's also the most, effective tool of advocacy. So just to have conversations about these hard topics, I think would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, and normalizing that it's okay to have hard conversations with people around you. I love that. Okay, so are you down for a lightning round?
Definitely.
All right, let's go. So let's close with a quick lightning round. One global issue every young person should learn about.
I would say the violence against women in Congo.
A book or film or voice that has helped shape your worldview.
I think two, Blood Diamonds and Hotel Rwanda.
Okay. One habit that helps you stay hopeful.
I also kind of have two on that, but I think it's always healthy to take small breaks with such hard work and such difficult topics. It's so important. And then just having really influential, amazing, inspiring leaders in your life like Nema.
Beautiful. A myth about young activists that absolutely needs to be challenged and changed.
That just because we're young does not mean that we don't know anything.
I respect that. Your message to young women who don't see themselves as leaders just yet.
I definitely did not see myself as a leader when I started this, but after a couple of years, I did. So don't let that stop you from doing something that you're passionate about. It will come with the experience.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think so often in what's expected and, what can feel like this need to microwave your way through yourself as you move through your leadership path. But there really is a lot to be said about taking your time, learning, being deeply immersed in the things you're passionate about, and letting things come with experience. So I appreciate you encouraging young people to slow down and take it all in. Sidney, you represent the kind of leadership this series is celebrating. Young women who are already shaping global conversations around justice and human rights. And so for all those who are listening, we invite you to follow Hero Women Rising, share these conversations, continue supporting women and girls who are building a more just future. Stay tuned for our conversation next week, next Monday at 2:00, same time, same place. Sidney, thank you for being a part of this conversation today.
Thanks for having me.
Mafundisho kwa mama na mabinti tangu miaka 10 hadi 19. Kupitia hivyo vyombo vya usafi hakuna tena kizuizi ya kukosa shule kwa wadada, ya kukosa kazi